Have you ever heard of Raynaud's phenomenon? How about Alkaptonuria? If you haven't, consider yourself lucky. Modern medicine has advanced so rapidly in the last century that it's hard to believe that we're actually left with terrible diseases we can't explain. And yet, doctors often find themselves confronted with medical puzzles and cases of extreme pain that lack a definitive cause or complete explanation. Although we can't list every bizarre disease, the following 25 examples are a clear indication of how science is still progressing. They also prove that we still have a long way to go when it comes to identifying and treating medical conditions. I'm Mike with List 25, and here are 25 bizarre diseases science still can't explain. 25. Myostatin-related muscle hypertrophy. Super strength is usually only achieved in the realm of comic books and action movies. But what if I told you that there are real people with supernatural strength? Liam Hoekstra, for example, had enough to tackle extreme gymnastic maneuvers when he was less than 6 months old. He wasn't forced or taught to do it. He was only a tiny baby after all. He just did it. Liam's parents perhaps were aware that there was just something different to their scarily athletic baby, took him to the doctor and found out that he had a rare condition that gave him rapid muscle growth and super strength. Though this sounds like the origin of a superhero, the condition does actually exist. It's called myostatin-related muscle hypertrophy. It's caused by a lack of myostatin, a protein that makes the body resistant to muscle gain. Because of his condition, Liam's myostatin levels are extremely low. Consequently, he has enormous muscle growth. 24. Hyperekplexia. Hyperrekplexia, or exaggerated surprise, is an inherited disorder characterized by increased muscle tone. The most noticeable symptom of this uncommon disease is something known as the excessive startle reflex. Sufferers seem to overreact to minor surprises, resulting in exaggerated movements. This is followed by a brief period of rigidity in which the patient cannot move at all. Hyperrekplexia affects approximately 1 in every 40,000 people in the US. Scientists believe it's caused by mutations in specific brainstem receptors. These mutations inhibit the normal dampening signals from reducing the startle reflex. The condition is extremely dangerous for newborn babies because the startle reflex might trigger breathing problems. 23. Stiff person syndrome. Stiff person syndrome is a strange and rare disease that causes random muscle spasms that may become so intense that the sufferer falls over, resulting in broken bones. SPS is characterized by fluctuating muscle rigidity in the limbs and torso, and an increased vulnerability to stimuli like touch, noise, and emotional distress, all of which might lead to muscle spasms. The disorder is characterized by abnormal postures, which are frequently hunched and stiffened. People with SPS may be unable to walk or move or be scared to leave their homes, since street noises such as car horns can cause spasms and falls. Sadly, women are twice as likely as men to be affected by SPS. 22. Haemolacria. In 2018, an Italian man burst into the ER with blood streaming down his face. He was literally crying blood. The blood had started streaming from his eyes 2 hours earlier, he explained, and there had been no warning and no pain. While it looked as if he stepped right out of a scene from The Conjuring, the poor Italian man was only suffering from a condition called Haemolacria. This condition is so uncommon that the hospital's medical personnel had no idea how to handle it. An examination revealed no signs of any trauma or visual problems, so they treated him as if he had an eye infection, which fixed the issue. Scientists believe this condition might be caused by infections or eye trauma, but are still uncertain about the internal process involved. 21. Rosacea. And now for an interesting side story. Did you know that J.P. Morgan, the famous financier who was also one of the richest men in history, known for sharp business acumen and tough demeanor, was extremely self-conscious about his nose? He went to great lengths to conceal his bulbous deformed nose, which was caused by the skin condition rosacea. Almost every photo of him was corrected, and those taken without his permission were destroyed. Rosacea causes facial flushing or long-term redness. It may lead to enlarged blood vessels as well as pus-filled bumps. Some symptoms may flare up for weeks or months and then just suddenly disappear. Rosacea can be confused with dermatitis, acne, or other skin conditions, and its cause is still unknown. No, not rosacea. I have been asked this before. This is psoriasis. So, hang on. There you go. Wait. This feels weird doing this on camera, but I'm open with it. It's, there you go. So, just getting to that before someone asks me in the comments about, my red spots on me. It's also here. Probably see it back there too. Psoriasis, what are you gonna do? 20. Hyperthymesia. What if your memory was so exceptional that you never had to study for tests or that you would never forget any detail about events that happened years ago? Aurelian Hyman has a condition known as hyperthymesia, or superior autobiographical memory. Hyperthymesia allows a person to recall almost every detail of their entire life. Whether something happened a week ago or over 10 years ago, those who have this disorder can remember every detail and do the exact same thing for each day in between. Hyperthymesia isn't caused by a disease or syndrome. It's not regarded as a harmful medical condition, and those with it are generally considered healthy. Really glad we put it on a list called 25 diseases when it's not a disease, but okay. 19. Capgras Delusion. People who suffer from Capgras syndrome believe that someone or something of importance was swapped with an identical replica. This disorder isn't just related to mental health. Scientists believe that it can also be caused by neurodegenerative diseases or brain trauma. Those suffering from the illness may believe that a fake has temporarily replaced a loved one or that it's occurred over a longer period of time. They can also think that minor physical cues can reveal the true identity of the imposter. As a result of the paranoia caused by this condition, it's often used in science fiction books and movies like Total Recall or The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. 18. Vitiligo. Every 90s kid will remember Michael Jackson as the eccentric king of pop, and people before the 90s. But we'll also remember him for the strange lightening of his skin. In his final years, Michael Jackson had a regular African-American complexion throughout his childhood. But in the 1980s, all of that changed. When questioned about it, Michael said that he had a condition called vitiligo. This was in fact confirmed in his autopsy report after he passed away. Vitiligo is a rare skin condition that causes your body's melanin-producing cells to malfunction and fail, which can result in patches of pale skin. Scientists have yet to figure out what triggers the condition, but we know that it's associated with the body's autoimmune processes. 17. Raynaud's phenomenon. Whenever a disease is named after someone, you know it'll be special. Raynaud's phenomenon is a condition that causes reduced blood flow to the fingers, but can also reduce blood flow to the knees, nipples, toes, ears, and nose, if you're especially unlucky. These blood vessel spasms can appear due to stress or emotional turmoil. It can also be brought on by colder weather. Although Raynaud's phenomenon might sound harmless, like a quirky form of frostbite, it should be taken very seriously since it can indicate other issues that could damage your internal organs. 16. Pachyonychia Congenita. While none of the conditions on today's list are pleasant, Pachyonychia Congenita, or PC, is genuinely debilitating. PC is a challenging skin condition that often goes unnoticed. Despite the name suggesting thick nails, PC comes with various complications, including painful calluses on the soles of the feet. PC doesn't discriminate. It impacts people of all genders, ages, ethnicities, and races. While it doesn't affect lifespan, it does introduce chronic pain, making walking a constant struggle, and at times, nearly impossible. It's nothing strange for someone who suffers from the disease to go about crawling through their homes as it's just too painful to walk. 15. Juvenile Idiopathic Arthritis. Living with juvenile idiopathic arthritis, or JIA, is no joke. Imagine being a child, navigating daily life with painful and inflamed joints. It wouldn't be any fun to get on the seesaw, jumping castle, or jungle gym, the staples that make childhood the playful ride that it's supposed to be. While the exact roots of JIA are still unidentifiable, it's thought to begin when the body's immune system becomes overactive, triggering inflammation. The majority of children have remission if they follow a treatment program, and in some cases, if the child is lucky, the disease can disappear completely, requiring no further medication. 14. Lamellar Ichthyosis. Lamellar ichthyosis is an uncommon birth defect that causes babies to shed their skin like reptiles. A collodion membrane covers a baby with this disorder when they're born, which is later shed, revealing scaly and cracked skin underneath. Because babies with this disorder lack an outer barrier of protection and normal sweat glands, they're more vulnerable to infection, dehydration, and hypothermia. The scales, which resemble the ones on fish, generally become more prominent as the child ages and groups around areas such as the armpits and groin. While the affected children appear to be in no pain, their bright red, scaly skin can have long-lasting psychological consequences. This condition can also cause the sufferer's lips and eyelids to turn outward, which is called ectropion. This hereditary disorder has no known cure, and more research is being conducted to come up with ways to treat it. 13. Brainerd Diarrhea. Okay, I'm not saying this. I don't want you guys to stop drinking water because of this, but just keep drinking water. As the name suggests, this condition is a serious acute form of diarrhea first identified following an outbreak in Brainerd, Minnesota. The exact reason for the malady is unknown, but it could be caused by drinking unsafe water or ingesting raw milk. Sufferers endure 10 to 20 bouts of explosive watery diarrhea every day. Because it's extremely resistant to any form of antimicrobial treatment, Brainerd diarrhea can persist for months, even up to a year, with no relief for those affected. Some medications, such as Imodium, have been reported to provide some relief, but only at extremely high doses. Because the exact cause of the condition is undetermined, there is no known way around it other than boiling all well water and steering clear of unpasteurized milk. And if you manage to sit through that, stick around for the last few items on today's list. They're not going to be pleasant, but they will be worth it. 12. Sweating sickness. Did you know that approximately 7.8 million Americans grapple with hyperhidrosis, a condition involving excessive sweating that isn't always linked to heat or physical exertion? The sweating can be so excessive as to soak through clothes or literally drip off the sufferer's hands. This elevated sweating can significantly disrupt your day, leading to social anxiety and embarrassment. Several extreme treatments exist, but they usually come with terrible side effects and have varying success rates. 11. Nodding disease. The hallmarks of nodding disease are extremely unusual. Clusters of the disease appear to be exclusive to sub-Saharan Africa, with both endemic and epidemic patterns. When a child is affected, their physical growth is permanently stunted. Brain growth is also stunted, resulting in intellectual disabilities. Nodding disease is so named because it results in pathological nodding that occurs when the victim eats or feels cold. When either of those criteria is met, the sufferer will begin to nod immediately. These fits are brief and end when the child stops eating or feels warm again. However, this characteristic is very unusual because the victims don't appear to have attacks when given an unfamiliar food. 10. Cutaneous Porphyria. This entry is definitely not for the faint of heart. Do not Google this if you do not have the stomach for it. That being said, cutaneous porphyria is a rare disease of the skin characterized by pustules, excess hair, edema, and necrosis. It may result in red teeth and fingernails, and the sufferer's urine might turn pink, purple, brown, or black when exposed to sunlight. The disease is thought to be linked to the many werewolf and vampire legends of the past, in which a sufferer, who would have lived apart from society, could have been mistaken for a monster. The disease is part of a larger group of disorders known as porphyrias, which encompass a wide range of mental and physical disorders caused by the body's overproduction of certain enzymes. 9. Auto-Brewery Syndrome. We shouldn't be so quick to judge people who appear drunk. Auto-Brewery Syndrome, often colloquially referred to as drunkenness disease, is a rare and intriguing medical condition that leads to intoxication without the usual alcohol consumption. Also known as endogenous ethanol fermentation or gut fermentation syndrome, this peculiar phenomenon affects only a small number of people, but can pose significant challenges for those dealing with it. People afflicted by auto-brewery syndrome find themselves constantly generating alcohol within their bodies, even without consuming a drop. The condition presents a significant diagnostic challenge for medical professionals, as it's often mistaken for other health issues due to its mysterious nature. 8. Persistent genital arousal syndrome. Well, the title says it all. PGAD is a sudden, uncontrollable surge of genital arousal that may go on for hours or days. The condition primarily affects women, but a couple of cases of men have also been documented. While PGAD is still poorly understood, scientists believe a combination of neurological, psychological, and vascular issues causes it. Many PGAD patients have the sensation that they are perpetually on the brink of orgasm, with symptoms frequently manifesting in public locations. Pelvic pain and discomfort are occasionally also reported. There is no known treatment for PGAD. However, cognitive behavioral therapy and pelvic floor therapy in combination with certain medications can be used to treat the condition. 7. Congenital insensitivity to pain. If you never had to experience pain again for the rest of your life, what would you do? Start a career in MMA? Or would you do something even more drastic, like becoming a professional stuntman? I have news for you. It wouldn't be all fun and games. You would never be able to tell if something was wrong with you unless you were bleeding or obviously injured in some way. Believe it or not, some people are actually born without the capacity to feel any kind of pain. These people have a very rare condition known as congenital insensitivity to pain with anhidrosis, or CIPA. Apart from feeling no pain, they also have constant difficulty controlling their body temperature because they can't sweat. 6. Alkaptonuria. Alkaptonuria, often called black urine disease, is a super rare inherited condition that messes with the breakdown of two important amino acids, tyrosine and phenylalanine. In simpler terms, it's like a glitch in the genetic system that leads to the buildup of homogentisic acid in the body. While the symptoms primarily involve pigmentation changes, alkaptonuria is a lifelong condition that may impact joints and connective tissues over time. 5. Chronic focal encephalitis, Rasmussen's encephalitis. Ever heard of Rasmussen's encephalitis, or RE? It's an incredibly rare condition that leads to infection in one hemisphere of the brain for an extended period of time. The inflammation brings along frequent seizures and ultimately leads to enough deterioration to lose function in the affected brain hemisphere. As time goes on, it can cause increased weakness on one side of your body and a mental decline. Rasmussen's encephalitis is so rare that it only affects about 2 out of every 10 million people, usually children between the ages of 2 and 10. 4. Creutzfeldt-Jakob Disease. Creutzfeldt-Jakob Disease, or CJD, is among the rarest and fastest progressing neurological disorders. It falls within the category of prion diseases, where certain brain proteins take on an abnormal folding pattern. CJD manifests with a range of neurological symptoms, such as rapid congenitive decline, muscle stiffness, twitching, and coordination issues. Unfortunately, its quick advancement often leads to severe disability, and regrettably, proves fatal within a year of onset. Despite its sporadic occurrence, there are inherited and acquired forms of CJD. The rarity, severity, and intricacy of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease has left us with more questions than answers, and it remains incurable. 3. Morgellons Disease. Imagine a persistent crawling sensation of something moving around underneath your skin. Imagine awful sores showing up everywhere on your body. Now imagine those sores sprouting coarse, colorful threads. That is Morgellons disease. For years, people all over the world have been plagued by this mysterious illness. Skin-crawling sensations cause strange fibers to grow from the victim's flesh. Symptoms include tooth decay and insomnia. The weirdest part, though, is that testing the strange strings reveals that they lack cellular structure and cannot be identified at all. Its weird characteristics have led to many conspiracy theories, with many believing that it does not originate from Earth. Some speculate that it could have resulted from alien organisms carried aboard the Genesis space probe when it went down in the Utah desert in 2004. Oh crap, I was in the Utah desert in 2003 and that's about when I got this. Psoriasis. Oh no! Uh-oh! 2. Rheumatoid Arthritis. You might be wondering what rheumatoid arthritis is doing at number 2 on today's list. I mean, every old person gets it, right? And that's exactly why it got the spot at number 2. RA is an autoimmune condition that can lead to inflammation, joint pain, and overall body discomfort. Interestingly, it tends to play a bit of a double act, causing trouble on both sides. So if it's bothering a joint in one arm or leg, you can expect the symptoms in the corresponding joint on the other side too. These specific causes or triggers of RA remain a bit of a mystery, and unfortunately, there isn't a cure for it. Typically, RA makes its appearance after the age of 50, with a higher likelihood of affecting men. 1. Wilson's disease. Wilson's disease is an unusual genetic condition where your body accumulates excess copper, particularly in the liver and brain. While a small amount of copper from food is essential for health, an untreated case of Wilson's disease can result in dangerously high copper levels, leading to life-threatening damage to vital organs. This condition is inherited and requires each parent's copy of the abnormal gene. What makes it so scary is that it's often misdiagnosed, as it usually just presents itself as fatigue, weakness, and discomfort. Without early diagnosis and treatment, Wilson's disease poses serious complications, as toxic levels of copper will accumulate, leading to organ damage. There is no cure. So, what's the worst disease you've ever had? Have you experienced any of these? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check out our social medias, including my personal ones, links in the description. And if you liked this list, you will love the one where we covered weird facts about the human body, and I discussed how sex can help you grow a more luscious beard, and how your body grows miles and miles of blood vessels for every pound of fat you gain. It's true. Miles and miles. So, to go to that list, just click right here. Seriously, you won't regret it. Who regrets more list 25? I know I don't. And if you do, rude. Click it. Let's watch some stuff together. I'm gonna watch it.